can I encourage someone else to take the steps I've decided to take? My sister has problems that seem really hard, and I want to help her, but I don't know how. You know, there's a story of this terrible story of this rescue helicopter that was called out on an emergency mission because people were literally dying. Middle of the ocean, ship had capsized, leaving hundreds stranded, fending for their life, drowning. As soon as the rescue helicopter arrived, they realized they had a huge problem. They realized they couldn't rescue everybody on the first trip. So they had to make a tough decision. Who do I rescue first? And you know who they decided to rescue first? It was the people who were swimming towards the ladder. The people who were swimming towards them. The ones who are wanting the help were the ones that were helped first. But how many times in our life do we see someone who gives us the illusion that they're drowning, illusion that they're in the ocean drowning? They look like they've got problems. They look like they want to be saved. But anytime we go towards them, they're swimming away. And although they're swimming away, we keep on shouting louder at them saying, hey, 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 come on. But they're not listening. How many of you are getting this? How much of our life has been wasted trying to help people who don't want our help? Last time I checked, someone who wants your help is swimming towards you. Last time I checked, someone who wants your help is asking you for advice. So unless that's happening, you're wasting your time. So the question is though, you don't want to neglect that person. So what's the next best thing for you to do? It's about realizing every world-class achiever understands what influences people, what heart influences people is not so much what you say, but who you are. It's not what you say, but who you are. Now, you know that to be true because you've heard many messages out there. It's the right person saying that message, it makes sense. And you're willing to listen to that person. But if it's your annoying uncle during Christmas dinner giving you that advice, you're like, well, change the topic. How many of you agree? So it's not so much about the what, it's about the who. So the question is, how can you develop your who to the extent that they're coming to you for advice? You know, there was a student on board and she said, Tim, in spite of everything I'm trying to, help my daughter, she's not accepting my help. And she continued by saying, Tim, it's crazy how there are, parents out there that, don't treat their children well and they're not showing up for their children and they don't look after the children. She said to me, it's such a shame there are so many parents neglecting their children. And what I replied back to her is I said, listen, the fact is, you are one of the biggest neglectors I've heard of. Now, I said that to awaken the pattern, the trance. She said, what do you mean? I said to her, listen, the biggest way in which you can neglect your children is to not pursue your highest potential and have them witness it. How generational traumas are formed is not so much from what you say, but what you do, and also what you don't do. People are influenced by not what you're often talking about, but what you're walking about, what you're actually living. And I said, the reason why your daughter is literally not going for it is because chances are you're not going for it. Why I found myself always struggling with investing in myself is because my mother, I witnessed all throughout my life, always being a shadow, always relying like a slave almost, like a man to be ahead of her, and then she is like a shadow of someone else. That's all I've seen all throughout my life, grew up with a single mother. So this is why when it came to me investing in me, I found it very hard. How many of you agree? I always played it cheap with myself. As in during Christmas, I would buy wonderful gifts for everybody else. Never ever dare myself to spend money on me. How many of you getting this? And that's because all throughout my life, all I witnessed is seeing my mum neglecting herself. That's how generational traumas are formed. How many of you getting this? And so I continue by saying, if you want to influence your daughter, you got to influence you. That's one of the most important things to heartfluence. You got to heartfluence yourself. You cannot inspire others unless you're inspired. You cannot possibly uplift others unless you're uplifting, right? How can you possibly give others rise unless you're in rise? It's simple as that. Work on the who, develop yourself on board them, and naturally, the natural byproduct is you will heartfluence others.